Gino, that Pinguino Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens. I am joined, as always, by Billy the Flood Rothert.
And we're talking about the good Flood, not that bullshit from the Halo franchise that was supposed to be some kind of eco-political, can't destroy universes plot. We're talking about the good Flood, where you just hang around, spray some people, clean some beaches, and you just have a good time. The good Flood.
And we are also joined, as always, by Pete Blooper Busby.
What's going on, everybody? I don't understand why they built that hotel. I hate it. I hate it every second I spent in that stupid hotel, and I'm sure we'll get to why in a second.
Do you have any blooper animal facts for us there, Pete?
Oh, shit. Those are the ones with the long noses, right?
Those are the squids.
Oh, those are the squids. I have a bunch of squid facts, but I think I've used them before.
Hit me with a hot squid fact. I'm sure they're cousins of bloopers.
How about whale facts? I was reading about whale beachings today.
There's beaches in this game. Relevant.
Yeah, whale beachings. Terrible thing to happen to a whale, obviously. But they get so hot, on there, that they basically just cook themselves, and it produces gas, and eventually a whale can explode on its own if left on the beach too long.
Yes, to the point where people have dynamited whales in order to get it over with faster.
Yeah, in Oregon. And they vastly overestimated how far back. It didn't work at all, I guess is the point.
No.
Yeah.
They just accelerated their problem.
Yep.
So if you couldn't guess from our discussion, we are talking about Super Mario Sunshine today.
And we gave you so many clues. You really should have been able to guess.
That's
Beaches,
true.
bloopers, the flood.
Right? Obviously.
Yep. And so, before we get to that, we'll just go ahead and do our usual call for feedback and for rating and reviewing on iTunes. Remember, you can rate and review this show on iTunes or whatever service you're using to download it. Please do so. It helps us out. People have been reviewing, not rating. I mean, they've been rating but not reviewing. So just step it up, do both. Why not?
Sure.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
But if you can only do one, we still appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you. And we also have ways you can get in touch with the show at Deep Listens Pod or on Twitter or at That Pinguino. For me personally, you can go ahead, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We've got comment sections. Join the discussion. # join the discussion. And you can go ahead, shoot us an email at deeplistenspodcast or deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. The ats, they screw me up so bad. And we do have a bit of feedback.
Yeah.
Just kind of general excitement about the Persona 5 series we're doing.
Nice.
From a couple of different avenues. So I'm looking forward to starting that. I'm going to be very honest right now. I played a lot more Persona 5 than I did Super Mario Sunshine. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm sure they're both really good games. I think at some point you should really give Super Mario Sunshine an honest try.
I played it. I got 20. I got 20-something shines.
I just think that there's two levels that I want to talk about quite a bit, as I think are just head and shoulders the best levels in the game, and I don't know if you got to them or not. So that's.
I think I probably. I only didn't see 2 levels, so I think I probably did.
Did you?
What do the?
Okay.
What do the blue coins do? Considering I completely ignored those.
You can trade those in for not stars, for suns.
Shines. Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Sure.
So, without further ado, let's get to discussing Super Mario Sunshine, the ugly stepchild of Super Mario games.
You mean it's beautiful? Like the hot redheaded daughter of Super Mario games.
Is that how that works?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you introduce us to the hot redheaded daughter of Super Mario games?
Gladly.
What's her name? Why is she into water so much?
Marcella. She's way into what? Okay, so we're playing Super Mario Sunshine. This was one of the major 3D Mario titles to come out on the Nintendo GameCube. We did have.
Wasn't it the major?
Well, we had Luigi's Mansion.
That doesn't count, you know it.
You're right. That's why I said one of. Just trying to be charitable here to my boy Luigi. Slight fun fact, this is the only, or I guess one of 2 3D Mario games where Luigi is not a playable character. The original one was Super Mario 64, which had that whole conspiracy of Secret L, you can be Luigi. Like, all that fucking hoax. Anyway, we're playing Super Mario Sunshine. Here's the general scoop. Mario and friends win some kind of trip to an island, or they're taking a vacation to like a tropical island, just to get away, just to get out of, just to get away from the Mushroom Kingdom and its dense politics and.
We're going to discuss mushroom politics. Don't you worry.
Gino's ready to get in. He's ready to pull no punches. And when they get to the Isle of Delfino, which is their travel destination, we are immediately met with an issue of there being this sort of toxic paint all over the island, that's going to be like the initial impetus for Mario's involvement in this game. He comes across, I think it is Professor Egad, I think, who creates this.
Yep, Dr. Egad is
sure.
Yeah,
Dr. You ever actually see him?
I don't think you see him in this game, but you get like a message from him or something like that, or like a hologram.
The flood is his creation.
Yeah, the flood is the flood is his creation, and you pick up the flood, and now you have this sweet water backpack that can shoot water and also acts as like a jetpack. More like a hover pack, but you get the idea. That's going to be sort of like the main conceit of this game, is that throughout Super Mario Sunshine you'll be traveling through Mario-inspired yet tropical-influenced worlds and ridding, key locations of this toxic paint while having different Mario mobility interactions with the flood.
Mario mobility interactions.
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's basically the entire reason you play a Mario game, is to find out how you can be mobile through Mario-inspired levels.
Should we introduce the antagonist?
We
at
can.
least in his primary form.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that, Pete?
Can I introduce some of this?
Yeah.
Start us off.
So here's my alternate take on what's happening in this game. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare game.
So somebody in game is having a nightmare, or it's just a nightmare for us playing it outside?
It's a nightmare for all involved.
Okay.
The people in it, the people playing it.
Sure.
It's like Silent Hill. It's a nightmare for everyone. Mario and Peach they go on a vacation, and then he is met by a shadow version of himself who's spreading paint everywhere, and then he is arrested. Mario is taken to jail. Mm-hmm. He is held on trial, and when they put him on trial, do you know what they say to him?
I forget.
You have to do community service and clean up the mess?
Not just that. On trial today is President Mario of the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah, so?
President?
It's a monarchy.
President Mario of the Mushroom Kingdom. And we sentence him to manual labor. Which raises so many questions. Yeah, Pete, that look on your face is the right look.
Well, we're going to get deep into the politics here, but let me just say, if Kafka designed a Mario game, it would be Super Mario Sunshine. Very Kafka-esque plot going on. Yes.
So Mario, first question, before we get past Shadow Mario and the paint, so this implies that Mario is winning elections, right?
Yeah. Somebody voted for Mario, yes.
Someone is voting for Mario. He's not El Presidente. He's not Grand Capitan Mario. He is winning elections. I don't know. He doesn't seem to say many words other than his own name.
He's a plumber. I mean, plumbers are a necessary profession in the world, but I wouldn't elect one.
I just wonder, does he go onto the podium and just go, "It's me, Mario,"
and the crowd goes wild,
and then they just go nuts. They just lose it. 4 more years. I just want to know. So his base. Let's just say his base is probably Peach.
Yep.
The Toads.
Yeah.
Possibly the Yoshis. But every other demographic in the Mushroom Kingdom, I think, hates him. They all hate him.
Votes for him?
I think Luigi better if he knows what's good for him.
But it's probably like him versus Wario, or like some nonsense like that. Or Bowser? Is Bowser running against him?
I don't know, but he's. It doesn't make any sense because I feel like the Goombas and the Koopas, Shy Guys, none of them want to vote for Mario. Is that why Mario's killing them? Is it an act of political violence? Is he rigging the vote by killing all these competitors, destroying their base?
Like, it's a monarchy, isn't it?
Apparently not.
Like, cause is Princess just her first name?
I don't know.
I think her
She
name
seems
is
to be
Peach Toadstool.
So Princess is a title.
Yeah, she's a princess, but it looks like maybe it's like a England situation where there's the princess, but she's just a figurehead. Toadsworth has no real power, is what I'm saying. But that is revealed in the first cutscene of the game. Mario's
Why
a president.
do that?
Yeah, her official name is Peach Toadstool.
Okay.
I don't know, but I take that as canon from here on out that Mario's the president.
He's also made of paper.
I'm looking at the cutscene. I don't see where it says president.
They say President Mario when he's on the stand
Are you sure?
of the Mushroom Kingdom. Do you think I would forget that? Do you think I would forget that shit? My whole life was rocked.
I'm looking. Let's just keep going. I'm just gonna be watching the scene. I want to see where
Okay,
they
that's
actually
fine.
say it.
So
I don't
you're
disagree.
on Delphino.
I think he is president, but like, I
Yeah.
didn't know that they said that here.
This is like in Zelda where you find out that like, oh, it's all the same Link, or each Link is a reincarnation of the Link. It's like, no, Mario's been president the whole time. We have to use this knowledge and reevaluate every other Mario moment. So from there, it turns out that Shadow Mario is actually Bowser's horrible son, Bowser Jr.
Which, again, what happened to his other 8 children?
Fuck if I know.
Can you name them?
Lenny?
Lenny?
Ludwig.
Ludwig?
Lucifer?
Ludwig. No
Lucifer.
I can name a bunch, but
Matilda.
I can't do it either.
No, not
Listeners,
Matilda.
if you know the name of the Koopalings, tell us.
no, I know a lot of them because you can play them in Super Smash Brothers for Wii U.
Yeah, and they have different names.
Smash Bros. For Wii U.
I'm just gonna throw them out real quick. They are.
So are they all Bowser Jr.'s siblings?
Sort
Yeah.
of.
Presumably.
Larry, Morton, Wendy, Iggy, Roy, Lemmy, and Ludwig.
I like Morton. He's the brown one.
Morton's the one with the like star eye patch or something.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
fun one.
Yeah, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Lucifer's my favorite Koopaling. So we find out Bowser Jr. has kidnapped Peach, and he's disguising himself as Mario, and he has an interesting monologue when he kidnaps Princess Peach.
Yep.
He says, "I'm taking Mama Peach back because Mario has kidnapped her." To which I say, Mama Peach?
I liked Peach's reaction to it, too.
I'm your mama? She doesn't
Like,
say
yeah.
no.
She was, like, surprised, but, like, okay. I guess, yeah, sure.
Sure, I do a lot of heroin. I lose a lot of time. I forget a lot of stuff.
Yeah, why?
So I didn't see all the cutscenes. Before we get into the gameplay, I assume there'll be a longer discussion of the gameplay. Are there any cutscenes where it refutes that Bowser Jr. is Peach's son?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, at the end, there's, like, a touching moment where Bowser Jr.'s like, listen, I know Peach isn't really my mother. And everybody's like, yeah, sure, we know. And then he's like, but I'm going to keep kidnapping her anyway, because that's what Papa does. And there's a touching father-son moment.
Wait, so he's learning this abusive behavior from his father?
It's like, yeah, I'm gonna beat up Mario too. And Bowser's like, that's my boy. And that's how it ends, basically.
Let's also just point out something cool while we're talking about this that you guys think is terrible. This is the only Mario game. The only I guess hold on, I gotta make sure I get this right. It's only 3D Mario game where Peach is not kidnapped from the very beginning of the game, and she's not a playable character.
Because she gets kidnapped very early on in the game.
The impetus of the game.
I mean, it then becomes it.
Yeah, I mean,
At first, it's
Clean up
you're
the
gonna go to
town.
jail,
You going to jail, Mario?
so you don't go back in the clink, and then after that, it's rescue Princess Peach again.
And
But
like
I just
at a certain point, they're like, too. I think they're like, oh Mario, you're innocent. Turns out, but clean up all this shit anyway.
yeah, and I want to dig deep into the idea that that Bowser is just walking around his house telling his son
That Peach is his mother.
that Peach is his mother.
It's really sort of a case of gaslighting, where I'm sure Bowser is just taking advantage of young Bowser Jr. and just forcibly implanting these ideas. And whenever Bowser Jr. is like, "But Dad, that's crazy!" Like,
I'm
But I feel like
and Bowser's like,
monster.
"You know what? You're crazy, and everyone's lying to you, and I'm the only one you can trust." Oh,
But what does
okay.
Bowser think the relationship between him and Peach is? Like
We
from
would've
Bowser's
boned.
perspective.
Let me tell you, son, we boned down, and then Mario took her away, and then you were born.
Happen? Is he like expecting like, no, I kidnap her and like then we fall in love, like Beauty and the Beast? Like this is
Yeah, basically, he's the Beast. Well, look, Bowser took away the mother of his child. I mean, Mario took away the mother of Bowser's child, and now he's gotta get her back.
this is a Liam Neeson situation, That's all we're talking here.
Because we can see that Bowser's a terrible father. He needs the help. It's all for the care of Bowser Jr. Okay, that's all I have to go through. That's my explanation of what's going on in Super Mario Sunshine. It's a nightmare. Human women are giving birth to
Monsters.
spiked turtle monsters. Mario is president. It's dystopia. It's a nightmare. And everything's covered in goo. Terrible, terrible goo.
So one more sort of we've hit pretty much the whole story. I mean, there's not a ton of it here. But so Bowser Jr. has a magic paintbrush that he's using to paint all this shit.
Yep.
He says something about getting it from a man with white hair.
Yeah, I think he got it from Dr. Egad.
Okay, well, why would Egad give Mario the Flood and give Bowser Jr. this magic paintbrush that dirties everything up?
Look, it's an obvious case of marketing where you both
He's creating
are the
need.
company that
Smart.
produces the problem and the solution.
Okay.
I mean, it's a flawless business model.
That's clever.
Egad,
So
that's a great.
The Isle of Delfino is mired in late capitalism then.
Yes.
Got it.
I mean,
Clearly.
considering like every okay, I don't know, what kind of commentary is it that every Mario game has you collect coins, but you spend them on nothing in the game? Like, no matter how
Except
many
health.
gold coins you get
Hardly.
healthier, but you can't actually spend them on anything.
I don't know, but
What kind of commentary is that?
Some sort of avarice. Well, this one is interesting because it has that sort of late capitalism narrative. Like, all right, we're creating a need just so we can sell this new product. And there's also prison industrial complex. We're manufacturing prisoners in order to create cheap labor force.
yeah, Mario, he doesn't get to leave. He's not getting paid.
No.
He can turn those coins into shines, but all that shine work, shines are worthless every other part of the world.
Economy.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I was going to shortchange this story, but there's a lot going on here.
And Mario, go back to the Mushroom Kingdom. Shine no good for nothing.
That's our resident Italian, dropping his American facade, and
That's what he really talks like.
that's what he really talks like.
Mario is very authentic.
So
Yeah, it's okay. Now that we've gotten past the nightmare
I want to
portion,
jump. Yeah, okay.
this game's pretty. Like the mechanics are pretty dense and interesting for a Mario game. It's got jumping. It's got the normal jump, and I think if you do,
jumping. It's got other kinds of jumping.
you can also with B do a belly slide, and you can combine belly sliding with jumping to do like weird, longer jumps.
That's not new. What's new is belly sliding in water.
Yeah, you go fast.
The spin
Yes.
is the spin jump new here too?
Spin jump
Yeah.
is not
'Cause
new
that's
for
not
a
from
Mario
64.
game. It's not in 64, but it's not new to Mario.
Okay,
It's new to 3D Mario.
It's new to 3D Mario.
gotcha. Yeah, because it's in
It's in like Super Mario 3D
Super
World
Mario
and stuff
World.
like that. Like, yeah,
3D.
It's in,
I think it's Super Mario 3 when he's got the cape. You do spin jumps.
That's it. That's it.
well, also spin jumping is in Super Mario 64, just not as an active ability. It's when you jump
Gotta
off the
hit the
flower
button.
heads, you get spin jumping.
But yeah, executing spin jumps sucks. But that's fine.
Fine.
It's weird. It's just weird to like twirl the stick and then hit jump. It made it hard.
You're telling me you can't buffer? Have you never played Zangief?
No, I can
What?
do it. It's just weird to try to navigate in 3D
I
space.
don't want to hear you
And
complain ever about buffering some quarter circles in the air, dude.
in that game, it's 2-dimensional. It's very easy to do that and then execute a jump. In this game, I was mostly fighting with the camera when I was doing spin jumps because,
The C stick or whatever.
yeah, jumping in the right direction when I had to kind of twirl the stick was a little tough, but it's fine. And then you have the flood, which gives you a couple of different options. There's the regular shooty cannon that you use to like defeat enemies and stuff. There's a hover nozzle that lets you hover. There's a jet nozzle that lets you jump real high, and then there's a propeller nozzle that lets you go real fast horizontally. And that's it, pretty much. And there's some subtle, like, backflip jumps are higher than regular jumps for some reason.
Side jumps.
And side jumps, yeah.
Again, that's not new. That's not new to Mario.
It's not new, it's still
Just
weird.
talking about jumps.
Okay. So, I think that when you have a game like Mario, you run into a big problem of that game hitting a wall of creativity. You can make as many 3D Mario games as you want, but
Never
they're
with
all just-
Mario.
what?
Never with Mario. They never run out of creativity.
Right, because that development team is absolute genius.
Mm-hmm.
And from the perspective of it's 2001, 2002, Super Mario Sunshine's coming out. What had we seen from 3D Mario? Well, quite a lot. Honestly, Super Mario 64 was so massive and groundbreaking.
Kick
It's
ass.
really hard to top that. I'm not saying Super Mario Sunshine is straight up better than Super Mario 64, but it did
You better not.
It did not drop the ball as a predecessor in any way. It gave us
I
what
will
we
push
wanted.
back on that, but that's fine.
Fine, but we can talk about that later. So,
Yes.
as far as creative level design, I think we're okay on creative level design. Maybe some parts could have been better because Pete's probably going to want to talk about a particular level. I'm aware, but I
I
think
want
we
to talk
had
about mission length too.
Mm-hmm.
I want to contrast mission length because I think there were some problems in Super Mario 64 that this one solved. But we'll get to that. I'm trying to be more general of what my overview of
Okay.
topics are.
Alright.
I think that this game does a very good job at extending the 3D universe of Mario because it keeps all the staples in place and it does something fresh. It gives us some new element, some new mechanic, and yes, it's the flood, yes, it's big and in your face. It's not subtle in any way, but it is very fresh. No other Mario game has done anything like this. So I think that this breathed the appropriate new breath of life into the franchise at this time. And for that, it stands out to me in the Mario history as one of the better Mario games. Because how can you follow up a 3D Mario game like Super Mario 64? Any game would have probably
The game
flopped.
Yeah, the game that basically invented a workable 3D camera.
Yeah. Super Mario Sunshine is probably the best game that could have followed it up because it's way easier to follow Super Mario Sunshine than following Super Mario 64. And
Well, yeah.
yeah, and Super Mario Sunshine put the team on its back and said, "Hey, I'm going to open the door for all the other 3D Mario games." Now,
Now,
mechanics.
can I voice my
Go
central
for it.
complaint with the central gameplay
Yeah.
tenet of this game?
Okay.
So all the platforming in this game is superb, pretty much. I found a lot of it was top notch, like the level design. Whenever I was in one of those trial levels, the ones where they take the flood away, I was like, this is amazing. They might have been frustrating, but like the level design was pitch perfect. It was always an interesting challenge. I wasn't getting frustrated because I felt cheated necessarily, so much as like I needed to just learn what the mechanic was in this given challenge room. Great. It was top level Mario level design.
Agreed.
Now, the flood itself, I'm fine with 3 of the 4 nozzles. All of the movement nozzles I think are fine. The main nozzle where you're shooting, now I think it was actually a bad mistake, having the central mechanic be shooting this hose basically, because the most fun that you have in a Mario game, I found, is the moments where you're running and jumping and really like sliding, and it's movement, really. It's fluidity of movement and creativity of level design. And the flood demands that if you're going to shoot accurately, you stop and you become a stationary turret. And I feel like that is a critical mistake, that you're basically hamstringing and removing the central joy from a Mario game whenever you're using the shooting. And because they had to design around this central mechanic, it also led to a bunch of other designs that I think hurt. For example, cleaning up the garbage and the goop. It became more of a chore. Like, it's actually a chore to clean up all this goop, and if you don't clean it up, it spawns little shit monsters that, like, keep exploding and making more goop and replicating themselves. And so I often was like, I had to anchor myself to the ground, shoot the flood at, the mess, and then more of these things would spawn, and then I'd have to shoot them, and then I'd have to focus back on the mess, and it just became an annoyance. And on top of that, this stupid goop, if you step in it, it makes you slide and lose your balance, and you fall over.
And you take damage slowly.
Yeah, and you take damage. So it basically, and if you're on like a hill or something,
goop.
Yeah, if you're on a hill or something, you will slide all the way to the bottom, spreading goop the whole way, which is really annoying. It's just like, yet again, it is a mechanic that takes away your mobility and your agency in a Mario game that is otherwise.
Hold on, I think you're lumping in something good with something bad and calling them both bad. Because I think the turret, you might have a point, but just the existence of the goop was not bad. I think that part where you step on a hill and you slide down the goop and it trails with you is cool. But I agree that if you cleaned up the goop with the standalone turret mode, you probably had a bad time. I didn't, but you did. So it makes sense why you thought that was bad.
Well, it's the one nozzle you can't get rid of. And there are certain enemies that you have to use it on, like certain bosses you have to shoot with the stationary turret because it's the only thing that can aim up. So I just think that it was a pretty big mistake, having that be one of the central mechanics. Like the fact that they had to include first-person aiming, and they felt that was a useful thing.
It's
I thought that was
Silent Hill 4 aiming.
No, and there's a first-person aiming option. Like the fact that they included that, I think, shows like a mistake. Like, this is not really how this game's supposed to be experienced. Now, there are times where the goop is kind of, it's there, but it's not a big deal. Like, it's something to avoid, but you don't have to clean it up. Those levels I thought were fine because the goop is a hazard. It is not the mission. It's the levels where the goop is just like everywhere and you can't navigate without cleaning it up that I found annoying. But, otherwise, like a lot of the nozzles, like the hover nozzle and the jump nozzle, they let you do really creative platforming solutions, like between jumping and then hitting the rocket at just the right time to get to the right place you're looking for, or like jumping off of something and then hovering back around. Like, the creative combination of these different powers I thought was excellent. My problem was just, like, anytime I had to chase down Shadow Mario and shoot him with the stupid hose, basically, was super annoying.
So I push back because I think that you're right that some specific bosses, hold on, I'll take it back. They don't require you to use the turret mode of the nozzle, but that is the first most obvious way to solve it. And if there is another way, it's usually not obvious, not very easy to understand that. For example, you see people that are, for example, like speedrunners of this game, they use the nozzle, but only to like achieve weird angles that you have to hit while standing in a certain spot. Otherwise, any of those opportunities where they do like an aimed shot, they just know where to stand and do the shoot backflip thing that sprays like a shotgun blast of of like water in a direction.
There's a water shotgun you
Yeah,
can do.
it's not taught to you in the game by like a tutorial part, but if you just know that the crouch backflip situation exists, you can do this like thing where you are holding stationary, you're shooting, but then you push like back and jump or something, and you do like a shotgun blast of water. It's pretty inefficient water-wise, but it's one of the best ways to clean a large area in front of you. It's not a very accurate shot, but there are times where accuracy doesn't count, like it doesn't fucking matter. And that's a way to not have to go into first-person mode and do like a blast of attack. Plus, the jumping, spinning,
The
sprinkler head
Yeah.
is also a great way to not have to stop moving, but you're clearing out lots of paint around you. Now I found that the only time where I was like forced to use the turret mode was when there was like a paint up on the wall or something, or like one of those Mario M's that you had to spray off of a wall, like a graffiti spot. That's the only time that I had to really use the turret mode.
I mean, I thought that was the way I had to interact with a bunch of bosses, like Petey Piranha.
You're right to a certain extent, but just be aware that there was another option. It's just not as obvious. So you can still make the critique that the obvious and most in-your-face option was not that good. And if you know the other options, that problem's just totally solved. But the game isn't as clear about giving you those options. So that might be a critique.
Even the sprinkler thing's a pain in the ass. Like, you can do it and it's quicker, but like clearing out the goop still sucks.
Yeah, the parts where this is a regular Mario platformer are excellent. The parts where it's cleanup service, where it's, say, for example, hard labor that Mario is being forced to do against his will, that is the part that is kind of dubious.
You usually only have to do that stuff once in a level.
Yeah, but it's dubious.
Once you clean the level, you don't really have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, but if we look at, if we return to the problem with mission design, if we look at aggregate time spent doing things, I can finish most of these missions in, I don't know, a minute maybe, and then the ones where I have to actually clean stuff, that's, a hefty percentage of the time I'm spending in a level at that point.
Yeah, the cleanup missions I found took much longer than the platforming missions or the challenge missions, and that it's we're talking about one of the best, most creatively designed series in the history of video games. Like, this is a game that is being measured against some of the greatest platformers ever made, and that is why there are just more clunker levels than normal.
Like, the reason I don't like the racing missions in this game is because each of them's, they're fun, they're good, but each of them's, the longest one is 40 seconds max, and you can finish that in a brisk, 25 as long as you're paying attention. Whereas, like, if you combine that with the race with Koopa the Quick in 64, you're racing all the way to the
90-second race.
Yeah, you're racing all the way to the top of this level. There are more obstacles. It's just more fun. Which, it's a tough standard to live up to, but it's a standard they've set.
Yeah, and the game that followed it up, Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2, are both quite possibly some of the best platformers ever made. So this game, a few of its levels, and unfortunately it's one of its central mechanics, stand out as potentially a waste. However, their use of stuff like the hover nozzle and the other nozzles for platforming, I thought were inspired. Like, some of my favorite levels were the collect red coins, because it encouraged you to explore these otherwise open and fun areas. keeping in mind, and then they would give you access to some nozzles that you wouldn't have access to otherwise. And so it kind of gave you a new way to explore these levels.
So something that I'll add about the level design is I haven't really played a Mario game that touched on like a world that I actually would want to live in. But like I played every Mario platformer game, and I can't think of a level in Super Mario 64 that I would want to be an inhabitant of, except for maybe what is it called? Wet Dry World was probably my favorite world in that game.
Is that where you spin the things to like raise and lower the water
Yeah,
level?
where you raise and lower the water level.
Yeah.
That level was pretty dope, but I can't think of a place that I want to live in Super Mario 64. I can't think of a place that I would want to really live in Super Mario Galaxy. I mean, it's a cool place with interstellar star rockets that shoot you to mini planets, but almost any of these levels in Super Mario 64, that sounds like a great place to hang out, and you could actually live there. It brings it closer to, I don't know, what I'm actually looking for is like, it makes it more real. No, I'm
Yeah,
not
I would say
describing
that
this
the
right.
Delfino Plaza and some of these different levels feeling a little bit more organic and a little bit more naturalistic, it adds to the sense of place in this game. Delfino Plaza being an actual hub world that you can explore and find, people living and you can talk to,
People
even if
covered
it's,
in goop you have to rescue.
even if it's crappy kind of Mario dialogue where it's like, oh, what's up? And then they don't talk anymore. That's still a pretty big difference from the otherwise kind of empty worlds of Super Mario 64, there's a hub world, but there's no people there. It's like this weird castle that's abandoned.
But like I agree with you that it creates more sense of place, but I don't think Mario needs a sense of place. I think when you look at sort of what the essence of Mario is, or sort of what I would consider the purest iteration of it, it's almost like the Mario level editor, where like you have these sort of discrete individual units that become, almost like a puzzle game. Like you finish this one, you move on to the next one. Oh, we had a lava world. Next is a sand world. Awesome. You don't need to explain why these are connected in the sort of artificial painting on the wall Super Mario 64 did it. I think Mario just needs to be these just discrete, individual, cool platforming sections, and I wouldn't ask it to connect it in any way.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pete. That's definitely where I stand on like Mario interacting with some sort of hub world. But I do think that there's value to a hub world for different types of players. Like some people enjoy, for example, I remember there was a challenge map I found in Delfino Plaza where you can kind of like navigate your way up to like some rocks or something, and then you find a secret entrance to a challenge room. And having that challenge room being hidden in the hub world, I think is pretty fun. Like to explore this area and slowly gain more access to this area that you're constantly in, versus just getting teleported to that level out of sync with everything else.
I think even so, I'd say the best way to do those secret worlds is the way Super Mario 3 did it, where if you complete the level in a different way, you gain access to, it's basically a new exit, right? And you take this new exit off to this other area. You're basically just
Yeah,
operating on a map.
yeah, and I like that in the Kirby games too, where you find
Yeah,
like
right,
secret
exactly.
cannons and stuff. But I think it's an interesting way to handle it. It's nice to see that the Mario team is capable of putting little wonder and whimsy, regardless of what their central design directive is.
Okay.
So I'll also push back slightly differently, Pete, and say that while I agree that the core essence of a Mario game are these discrete vignettes of like a new environment, I think that Super Mario Sunshine might have been a test, of putting a toe in the water of creating a more cohesive, connected world, and even potentially an open world. And even if they didn't fully commit, I think this was a success, and they could have gone farther if we talk about some other Mario games coming up in the future. Maybe they're going to. So
Yeah, yeah, I think they probably learned some lessons here. And it's also worth pointing out that right around the same time, there's this little game called Sonic Adventure, And let me tell you, that game sure existed.
Is that
It
the
had
one
a
where
world too.
is that the one where he has his human girlfriend?
No, that's Sonic 2006. Sonic Adventure was the one with the killer whale level. I don't know
Oh,
if you
gotcha.
remember
Yeah.
that
I
one
remember
level.
that one.
But yeah,
That's the
it was
only
Sonic.
level from that game I could tell you about.
Sonic runs around in a tropical environment, talking to humans. Every time you involve actual humans with these cartoony goofballs, it seems to become a nightmare.
Bad move.
We'll find out, maybe with Mario shortly. So, Billy, was there anything else you wanted to hit on with Super Mario Sunshine?
Well, yeah. So I definitely want to talk about some of my favorite levels and why. Um, I'm gonna go
Tell you what, Billy,
through.
before we get to specifics, one more. Can we do one more general?
Yeah,
Yep,
definitely.
totally.
So voice acting, right? I think this is the first Mario game with legit voice acting. It wasn't in 64,
I mean, other
Uh,
than his noises.
other than It's a Me Mario.
he had noises. Luigi's Mansion kind of had it.
Did you ever see that episode of Dexter's Lab where all he can say is "omelette du fromage"?
Yes.
From and then his lab explodes. Yeah,
Yeah, Mario's like that. All he can say is "It's a me, Mario."
Mario.
That's all he's got. He can break it down in different ways, but that's all he's got.
And he can like wail, but
It's
when it
like an
goes
I
over
am
the
Groot.
edge.
It's like an I am Groot situation.
So I didn't really care that much about the voice acting. It wasn't good. It wasn't horrendous.
It
But I
was
think
amazing.
Mario. I think Mario is just one of those things that shouldn't have voice acting. I guess maybe it's nostalgia, or maybe I'm just sort of anti-progress. But I don't think it fits. I don't think it works.
They've already got that with Link, so like it'd be too similar.
I don't know. I don't like. I've never played a Mario game and been like, you know what, this is a little bit too much like Link.
All
Yeah,
all Kirby can say is hi.
that's all he
So
needs.
But
all
Kirby's
Yoshi
not
can
like a
say is
person.
Yoshi.
Yoshi.
I guess my stance on this would be if you're going to have dialogue, you should probably have voice acting as an option, just as an accessibility option. Like to have people who maybe can't read.
Sure.
Especially if you're targeting this at kids, like it probably helps to have that. So if you're going to have dialogue, probably, yeah, have it narrated. It doesn't have to be like, you don't need to find Shakespearean actors to read this shit. Though, man, it would be, what if they did?
It would
What
have
if
been
they
sweet
found
if
it?
they wrote, like, if this was like a full-on, like, Othello, like, political drama. That would have
Yeah.
been great.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I want that for my next Mario game. Hopefully we'll get it. But I think that you can totally get away with, in a Kirby sense, having no dialogue because there doesn't need to be dialogue. Kirby wants cake. He wants cake. Someone took it. He needs to get it back. But with Mario, for some reason, they occasionally want to tell more grandiose stories, where Peach finds out about her illegitimate son. And then you need to voice act it.
I couldn't even tell you, like, what Kirby's... I don't think I could tell you a single thing about Kirby. Like,
I
what's
can
his
tell you
backstory?
everything.
What's his deal?
I don't know Kirby's gender, but
Male.
Kirby, I think Kirby's a dude. But in any case, Kirby just wants cake and sweets.
That's all of it.
That's
The whole
it.
thing?
Yes.
And Meta Knight is Kirby's antagonist, or one of
But
Kirby's antagonists, who sees
Sort of
Kirby as
frenemies.
like a competitive threat
Yeah,
when
they're
there
sort of
really is
frenemies.
no
he's a
threat
frenemy.
there.
He's a Kirby with a mask on.
And, like,
And he's
DDD wants to take over Kirby Land? Like, what's...
he's a king. He's a king
Dreamland.
of Dreamland.
Gotcha, okay.
He's a king of Dreamland, and he's an evil penguin.
It might be President Kirby, for all we know.
Back to that, I couldn't. I watched like every cutscene. I couldn't find the word president. You might have to fact check that. Gino just went way zoomed in on the camera, like, Billy, this destroyed my life. What are you talking about? But
Like the scene in Jaws.
You can't.
are you sure
I
you maybe
heard-
didn't misread the word presiding or something, or like?
I heard President Mario of the Mushroom Kingdom.
about maybe you heard Resident and like it just.
Of the Mushroom Kingdom. They say Mario of the Mushroom Kingdom. I think they say President Mario of the Mushroom Kingdom. You don't.
Are you sure it was in the courtroom scene? Because I watched it like 12 times.
I think it was the courtroom scene. Maybe it was when they were flying to Isle Delfino. Maybe it was when they were flying. Maybe it was when they were in the plane.
I mean, the story's chaos enough regardless, but it does add a nice layer if they say President Mario.
I'm sorry if all we have to deal with emotionally is Peach giving birth to a horrible shell beast.
And Mario's, unjust imprisonment.
Yeah, he is sent to jail.
Yeah, subsequent compelled labor.
So...
Yeah. So
I think
specific
that,
levels.
Yeah, so specific levels. I'm going to talk about 3 in particular. I think this is going to be weird, but the first one, Bianco Hills,
which is
probably makes
the very first level.
The very first level, it's the one where you fight the piranha plant.
Yeah.
Big baby piranha plant. I think that level is the best opener that you can have in a game of discrete levels like this, because it gives you the perfect indicator of what you can and can't do in this game and what you also could be able to do a little bit later. So from a level like this, it's not the tutorial level, it's your first real level, I guess, besides the hub world.
Yeah.
The interactions of the Great White Wall that is in that level and ways that you may want to get over that are really interesting, because it normally involves doing complex side flips combined with the hover nozzle paired with like wall jumps. There's usually like 3 or 4 piece interactions to get over that wall, and they're creative and kind of new for every part of the wall that you can get over. There's like 1 or 2 areas where you can just walk under, but for the most part you have to actually get over that wall to traverse the level more freely by either going on treetops or going on houses. And
I know what it was.
What?
Flood, when it boots up, analyzes Mario, and it says identified as Mario, President of the Mushroom Kingdom. It's either President or Resident, but Flood says it. Flood says what I thought was President Mario. So if you wanna go to the tape there, we can see.
I've just got it playing while I talk about my favorite levels.
Okay.
So this level had the best way for you to be in a safe place and play around with the new mobility mechanics, specifically of Flood and the Flood nozzle and everything.
And it immediately starts you with a slidey water slide.
A sweet water slide situation, and that actually is where you get straight up told in the game that water sliding is a thing. That's one of my favorite mobility mechanics in the game, is the water slide mechanic. The next 2 levels are actually the last non-final boss level. So that's Noki Bay and Pianta Village are the 2 levels that I think really brought this world together for me.
And Noki Bay was legit.
Noki Bay was super legit. Great music, great level design.
You can ride those squid.
You can ride those squid. You have to kind of earn the level a little bit, because I think at first the water's toxic, and it hurts you at first.
At first you need to uncork the waterfall, ride the lightning.
Yeah. Wait, I'm thinking of a different level then. Which one's the shipping yard?
That's Rico Harbor.
Oh, I like that one. Forget Noki Bay. Noki Bay sucks.
What?
Noki Bay is the really vertical level.
Yeah, it's fine. I just
vertical.
I felt like I was cheating when I got to the top of Noki Bay. I was like, this can't be the way they intended for me to get to this area, but I guess I did it.
Doesn't matter. You played a Mario game.
I know. That's exactly what a Mario game's supposed to do.
It's point A to point B, and point B is somewhere higher than you are right now, and if you get there, you win.
Doesn't matter how you got there.
Now, I think Noki Bay was great because it went the most all in on its concept. And I think it succeeded. It did have the most underwater interactions, and normally underwater levels suck. But this one was totally fine for me. I had no problem with Noki Bay's underwater level. I think its verticality was interesting. It gave you these cool, like, side wall puzzles, times where you'd have to interact with, like, raising and lowering, like lots of object interaction to help you get further up the level, involving, like, creating new blocks in the wall because the paint had covered them up and stuff. Like, that was great. That was awesome level execution. Next level after that, probably, I think this is really hard to say what my favorite two levels are, but it's either Noki Bay or Pianta Village. Pianta Village was where you had, like, the, like, it was nighttime, like, tiki torches, like, little huts, and an under-the-level mushroom trampoline situation. So that level was pretty small, like, I'm trying to say, like, it's small, like, side to side. It actually probably had similar verticality as Noki Bay, but it wasn't continuous. It was like you'd jump off the level and get on the underground layer of mushrooms, or you'd be in the middle level where all the huts and the villagers were, or you would get on top of the treetops, which are super high but hard to get to, and you usually needed, like, the rocket nozzle to get there, and that was a whole other layer of verticality. But that level, I think, was also just really, really well done and very cool. It made me the most invested in doing good things in that part of the game, because that seemed to be a place where people were just living and there was terrible paint things happening there. That felt like the most cozy to me. It was like the coziest level.
Yeah,
and I kind of just wanted to be there even if I wasn't actively pursuing a shine sprite. Like, how, I mean, Pete, you say that a lot of parts of the game, like, you could just go from the opening of the game to the shine sprite in 30, 45 seconds, and you're true if you're not playing and having fun in the world. And I think the shine sprites make you explore different parts of each of the levels. And part of playing Super Mario Sunshine is just saying, hey, I wonder if I can jet over to that ledge and just see what's over there.
Usually and there's a blue coin there.
Yeah, usually it's a blue coin.
Yeah, you can trade blue coins in for shines, and I thought revisiting the same central hub worlds over and over and over again, and the game asking you to do different things each time you go, was a pretty smart decision. They basically just made these, what is it, like 8 different really dense levels, and then said, okay, this time we're going to ask you to do this in it. This time we're going to ask you to go here. And each time it was something interesting and different.
The overworld changed, like, every time you were to go to a new level. There was something that developed in the overworld that made it unique. That was well executed. We didn't really talk about Yoshi in this game, but Yoshi's something to talk about in this game. I think this is one of the better Yoshi involvements.
He doesn't really do much. Like, you give him bananas.
He does the best thing, which is adds bongo drums to all the music.
Alright, that was legit. That was strong.
When you are rolling around Delfino Plaza and you pop on a Yoshi, like, the music just gets fucking turned.
Yep.
So, Yoshi's in every level. There's fruit pickups in every level, as well as like water barrels in most levels, where you can sort of throw them and clear out big waves of paint. Fruit have very minimal interactions for most other parts of the game.
Does that change Yoshi's color?
It gives Yoshi juice.
It changes Yoshi's color, and instead of Yoshi shooting water, Yoshi vomits juice. It comes from his mouth, like a Squirtle, but it's a Yoshi. Yoshi's got sick range. Yeah.
Yeah, he's what, purple,
pink,
orange,
red. If you feed him a pepper, he turns red or pink or something.
So in the immortal words of Chance the Rapper, he's got the juice.
Yeah, he's got the juice.
He needs the juice.
He's got mad ups. We knew that about Yoshi all along. Instantly dies when he's submerged in water, but we also knew that too. Yoshi can't swim.
But
it was a a one-time gimmick in each level that I think played its role perfectly. Just like all of the secret levels where you got your flood taken away was a one-time gimmick in each level that itself played its role perfectly.
Yep.
So I think that is all of my level discussion about Super Mario Sunshine.
Can we talk about the worst level?
Sure. Go right ahead, Pete.
That hotel. Why?
All right,
Why
it's
do
called
that to people?
Serena Beach.
Serena Beach. Why? That whole thing. Burn it. Burn it to the ground.
It's a throwback.
I don't care.
To Big Boo's haunt from Super Mario 64.
Yeah, except a million times worse.
The ghost houses are never fun.
Whoa, Big Boo's haunt was hella fun.
64 was
coming back.
I think the only problem that I had with Serena Beach was that if you go into the hotel, you can't like go back out of the hotel.
But like, oh my god, like navigating that hotel was just such a pain. You have to play those stupid. The worst use of the flood was when you're playing those stupid roulette games, and you just had to hit them with the flood over and over again until they lined up. That whole level sucked.
That's fair. So
I will say that's the level that I loved.
An intricate criticism.
The least. I loved it the least.
Because it was awful.
Yeah, Gino's in a conference room just talking to random strangers. But I'm also recording a podcast.
Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you and everything around you. It's great. So, back to Delfino. Didn't you say that you wanted to have something else that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I already made my point about the hub world, whereas like I don't really feel it's necessary, but we've had that discussion.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
Apparently, when I hit mute on my mic, it automatically starts playing podcasts.
Oh.
You didn't hear that, right?
No.
Your screen just went black.
All right, cool. Anything else for Super Mario Sunshine?
I don't want to play this game anymore, but it's a pretty good game.
What's the maximum number of stars?
120.
120. 50 is the minimum, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, 50 is the minimum. Now, I do have
I got almost halfway through the game now.
I said this game was flawless. I'm going to stand by that. I'm just not going to back down. Super Mario Sunshine, great game.
Yeah, that sounds like your general stance on most things that we criticize. I'm just not going to back down.
Things that
I'll say that the last level, Corona Mountain, sort of...
lava?
Yeah, the lava mountain. I mean, it was the hardest level. It was like the biggest test of your skills. But they had to do that by taking you way out of the element of the game. They couldn't find a way to do that in Isle Delfino proper. They had to go way out of the game's original aesthetic and also change some mechanics, like introduce water bottles that were like floating pickups that would just refill your flood. Because there wouldn't be just idle water in a volcano. That was kind of weird to me.
The last boss battle was a little bit not anticlimactic because you're fighting Bowser, but again, it's just sort of quick.
It wasn't that challenging.
Yeah.
Not really supposed to be because it's a Mario game.
I don't know. I mean, 64 when you had to throw them into those bombs.
Well, the last one was hard because the last Bowser fight in Mario 64, he would change the stage into a star, and so if you hit the wrong bombs first, it'd be really hard to aim for the last couple hits.
Yeah, and he'd tilt it.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't. He tilted in the second Bowser fight, but not the third Bowser fight.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah,
so
I didn't enjoy the boss fights. I didn't enjoy ripping the arms off of Blooper as it writhed in pain. It seemed cruel. It seemed unnecessary and cruel.
Yeah, a little bit.
Peter Piranha was taking a nap, and then I shot him. And then filled him full of water and stomped on his chest.
Or those turtles you slammed into the sand to suffocate slowly to death.
Yeah. There's a lot of just murdering things that seem to just be going about their business.
It's just things that have inconvenienced Mario slightly.
This blooper was hiding in like a bunch of boxes, and then I took it out by ripping its arm off.
So just because I did find it, Flood analyzes Mario and calls him a resident of the Mushroom Kingdom.
Screw it. He's President Mario.
He's president of the Mushroom Kingdom.
I'm sure somebody in the podcast right now as they're listening to this are like just holding back space on that scathing email that was getting ready to write Gino for getting it wrong. But sorry, man, I guess I just denied us one piece of feedback. I'm telling you to go fuck yourself.
I hope they don't listen to the end and they send it anyway.
That means my head canon is that he's president of the Mushroom Kingdom. That's the podcast canon.
Gino's gonna write some fanfic, and we're gonna incorporate it into the podcast.
I like that way more.
Yeah, that's more interesting
than what Flood actually says. Also, Flood shouldn't talk.
That I'll agree with. It's kind of a weird voice. Anyway, I don't have anything else about Super Mario Sunshine.
So I just wanted to talk real quick because it's E3 or right around E3, and Super Mario Odyssey just got announced, aka Super Mario New Donk City. And I was wondering what you guys thought about it. I think it looks like Super Mario Sunshine a little bit, in that it also looks like a nightmare.
Yeah.
So just while we're doing this, Gino, you should probably mute just because there's friends in the room that you're in, and we can hear them. Anyway, so Pete, you should probably go first for the takeaway from Super Mario Odyssey.
Let me do it. So, I think maybe in terms of level design, I think maybe it's time for a little bit more open world Mario. I mean, like I said, I don't necessarily support that in the abstract, but something new, something interesting. But this hat nonsense, this is going to be hard to execute well. This sort of body swapping that's going on. I mean, it's intricate, it's involved, and kudos to them for doing something this big, but I don't trust it. I'll say that.
So for me, I'll say that the hat nonsense that I am sort of raising an eyebrow at is as you're just running through the world, like using your hat as a weapon and like a boomerang kind of thing.
Sort of odd job in the situation.
Well, what I got from it was like if you played a game like Jak and Daxter, like Jak and Daxter 1, like Jak and Daxter the Precursor Legacy, Crash Bandicoot, like most of their running attacks were just them spinning around with their limbs extended as an attack. And this to me seems like not a throwback to that game, but just like they could come up with anything better than something that had been done in like 1998 already.
It's just super interesting.
Like it's like a 20-year-old attack animation.
Do you know what? No, you don't understand. So when he throws his hat onto enemies, he captures them.
No.
Right.
I know.
No, but he can also just.
We're talking about just a regular attack.
Yeah.
I know.
Then
it's fine. That move doesn't look amazing. It looks fine.
When he just throws it, I'm just thinking like that's just the wrench from Ratchet and Clank, like going in and out. Like you could have done more interesting hat interactions. Now I'm glad they took a step back.
I mean, there's a jumping hat throw. That's kind of cool.
Sure. I'm glad that they took a step back from just like the Super Mario Galaxy, just fucking shake your Wiimote at the screen to make him spin around and like pew pew with little like star turds, but like you took a step back into like 20 years ago attack animation archaic. If they're gonna be this creative with everything else in the game, why couldn't they be a little more spicy with his basic attack animations? Give him like I don't know, like they could have taken the basic Super Mario attack animations and like flavored them up, but instead they just, to me, all I see right now is like Jak and Daxter, Crash Bandicoot, Ratchet and Clank basic attack animations.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they'll make it work. The Mario team, I trust them.
They're good. They're good at what they do.
I hope that they will probably lean a little bit more into possessing the bodies and souls of others. Which seems to be the main mechanic.
We see Mario possess animal skins regularly. We get the Tanuki suit, the frog suit.
I like the frog suit.
We have seen Mario wear the skins of creatures before. Why can't he just put a hat on them and not have to take their skin off?
I just don't trust it.
I don't trust it either, but I'm ready for the weird.
That's true.
I'm ready for Mario to get weird. I'm going to be on board.
Do you think he can actually possess that T-Rex you see in the trailer? Or do you think that was just a little shine for the trailer?
I don't know if that was just like a...
Right, that better be somewhere in-game.
If anything, I think it would be a very limited part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just
Like,
stomp around T-Rex.
Throwing back to an old game, Banjo-Tooie has a time where you can be like a giant golem, like giant statue, and that's only like in 2 levels of the game. But they put that in the trailer pretty hard, like, oh look, cool new Banjo-Kazooie interactions. And that game was fucking great, don't get me wrong, but what they had that in the trailer was like a hot minute of the game, actually.
Yeah. That's fair.
So maybe there would just be like a dinosaur level, and oh hey look, dinosaur Mario.
Guys, I'm back on the bike.
Great.
Nice.
We had to have that happen. If you're going to be doing a podcast on the phone, I was hoping you'd get on the bike at some point. Now, my last thought about the dinosaur is I get where its place probably is in the Mario game. I'm just surprised that we didn't mix Super Mario and Ark Survival Evolved. That's what I was really hoping for when I saw the dinosaur. I was like, man, is the Mushroom Kingdom just going to get annihilated by fucking velociraptors? Our little Toad, like... gonna be just torn asunder across the landscape because of velociraptors?
It's gonna be bloody roar.
Now,
Torok.
If
Torok.
would eating a toad count as like herbivore or omnivore? Like, what are they creatures? So they count as eating a creature, or are they just mushroom?
They move, so they have to have muscles, I guess.
Do they? Because, Pete, you would probably be the number one champion of plants being way more physically capable than we give them credit for.
Well, the difference is, alright, so when animals move, it's based on sort of muscular movement, right? When plants move, it's based on increased growth. So
now, when I think about that, I'm talking about nutritive and locomotive souls.
Yeah, I mean, well, we don't have to get in the Aristotelian bent here, but like when you see a vine twirl up a trellis, it's growth. Toads don't grow when they move; they just move.
So what you're saying is that vines only care about those gains?
That's vines all about the gains, and I respect them for it. You know, because they don't have protein supplements. They got to move around.
They got to kill other plants so they can live.
Always skipping leg day though.
They just list.
I guess vines are always
working.
I guess vines are always doing pull-ups. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Vines are always on the pull-up bar.
Yes. Vines live on the pull-up bar. So, Super Mario Odyssey looks cool. I think it's going to be great. Mario wears a sombrero. That's pretty great. Maybe he'll wear an Italian hat. Who's to say?
What would the paradigmatic Italian hat be?
That kind of one that it's like floppy, and then it's like it's got a brim, but like the floppy part is kind of attached to the brim.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And then you can wear it backwards if you're an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Like most hats.
Yeah, if you're from the 1990s and want to look like a jerk.
Yeah.
Yep, that's all.
It's almost like it's not really like a beret. It's like kind of like a.
It's like a newsboy hat.
Only forward-facing.
Like a paperboy hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, paperboy hat. Yeah. Paperboys were always little Italian immigrant boys. That's how that's definitely how that works.
That's your Deep Listens history lesson.
Yep.
Heard
it. You heard it here first, folks.
When I was a little boy, my parents said, "You're gonna have to be a paperboy."
First you have to get this hat.
Put this hat on, and then go out and earn that cash. You better not come home empty-handed. Empty hands mean empty stomachs.
Damn right.
So my closing thoughts.
Yeah. We've run out.
My closing thoughts on Super Mario Sunshine. Yeah, this game holds a lot of nostalgic value for me. I picked this game because I play it every year when I feel like summer has started. Just as sort of a personal thing that I do all the time. My sister's actually, this is one of the few games that she's actually played all the way through. So this game has a lot of meaning for me. It was one of my most played GameCube games. I think second, pretty easily, to Phantasy Star Online Episodes 1 and 2 Plus, another great game.
Oh God.
But I think this game, and I said it earlier, is probably the only game that could have just even had a chance at following up Super Mario 64 because of its creativity, the freshness that its new mobility mechanics added, its slightly different approach to level design. Yeah, there were fewer levels. They were in some cases a little bit clunkier, but they felt more simplistic and real to me. So it made comparing the two games easier, probably because there were a lot more ways in which they were different. Because Super Mario Sunshine was not trying to be Super Mario 64, I think it pulled off a greater success. I think it still had respectful nods to its predecessor in those secret levels, where it was just this sweet platforming with no FLUDD and like maximum skill, and that was awesome. And the times where you could creatively use FLUDD, you got an entirely different platforming experience that was, like I said, fresh, unique, creative. So I would give Super Mario Sunshine, if anyone hasn't played it, a 10 out of 10. But if it had to not get a 10 out of 10, it was only because games like Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time just own that, and no one else can touch them.
Okay.
Gino's making a face.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a 10 out of 10 game, but I mean, Billy can give his games whatever ratings he wants to give them. I'll keep my final thoughts short and sweet. It's good. Play a different Mario game, though. Take 64 Galaxy.
Or maybe Odyssey, we'll see.
Yeah.
I guess my feedback would be on a scale of Halo, I would give Super Mario Sunshine the FLUDD award. It is a FLUDD out of Halo.
What?
No, I think that just about sums it up. Yeah.
I don't understand.
So.
There you go. So it is my turn to pick again.
Oh God.
And I think we've just spent not enough time playing weird games.
I mean, the one Always Sometimes Monsters was pretty weird. I mean, it wasn't good.
It was pretty weird.
But it was weird.
It was pretty weird. It was set in a regular place, in ostensibly reality. It was a Mario game. You don't get more regular video games than a Mario game. What if we got weird, guys?
Let's do it. It'll be a real branch out for this podcast.
Yeah, finally, this podcast gets weird. Let's play Magic Pendule: The Quest for Color.
What, you mean another game where like painting is the major impetus of the game?
What's a pendule?
Yes. What's a pendule? It's a flying creature that allows you to draw things, and then when you draw them, they come to life.
So it's something they made up. Okay.
It's taking the word gel pen and just reversing it, so it's pen gel.
Pen gel. Got it. Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm ready.
I want to play Magic Pendule: The Quest for Color for the PS2. I've had this game for upwards of a decade. I've never gotten further than when I did during the community endurance run after playing it for about an hour. So
I played that game some. The game's really good so far.
Yeah,
but you should expect it to be a Pokemon experience. It's gonna feel like Pokemon Stadium.
Okay. I've never played it. I know nothing about it.
Well, you never played Pokemon Stadium?
No, I played Pokemon Stadium.
The story, from what I've seen, got way darker, way faster than I thought it would.
Nice. Okay.
I thought it was going to be like a sunshiny day, and there are orphans, and people have been murdered. It's weird.
You know what I thought was going to be super light? Turns out it wasn't at all. Perks of Being a Wallflower. I don't know why I thought that was going to be a lighthearted romp.
Nope.
Very much.
Not a lighthearted romp.
No.
So, I will ask for Magic Pendule. If we could please get some screenshots of some of the abominations you've created with your hands, so we could post them for on Twitter or some sort of thing. So just keep that in mind. If you ever make one and you're just like, this is a real winner, just take a picture of that.
Alright.
I should share this art with the world.
So this should be burned into somebody else's retinas.
Yeah, for right now, let me just give an example. I drew, one of the only things I'm capable of drawing is like a bird,
dick.
like a sideways, no, like a sideways bird.
Sounds
And
like
I screwed up which direction was the main axis.
You screwed up the axes.
I screwed up the axes real bad, and instead of facing forward, it is a sideways bird with the arms facing towards the camera. So it's constantly sideways.
It's basically a metapod. What you made was a metapod.
I made a metapod.
just begging for death.
That has two hands.
Lots of your doodles. That's what they're called. They're not called Pokemon. They're doodles. They will be begging for death.
Yes. At a certain point, I ran out of space on them, and their stats are based on how much paint you put on them, not at all their proportions or anything. So
slightly based on color, I think.
Yeah, I think it's based on color, amount of color,
and how much paint you use. Yeah,
and types of
color.
color.
Like the ratio of what colors are more prominent. And then at some point, you're just going to say, I need you to have more magic stat, so take this third fucking arm and like it. I need you to have more purple and deal with it. I don't care if it's not part of your palette.
You're just a ball. You're just a ball of colors.
Make you.
So enjoy that, Pete.
Fingers crossed. Sounds good.
Now, I want to hear some good doodle facts at the end of your experience with Magic Pendulum, because if you're so into flora and fauna facts, you need to be into flora and fauna and paint monstrosities facts.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to play some Magic Pendulum again. So, till next time, thank you, listeners. We will have some Persona 5 episodes coming. We will have some Final Fantasy episodes coming. And we will have our main show chugging along with Magic Pendulum. Till next time, thank you, Billy.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Super Mario Sunshine, one of my favorites. Magic Pendulum, probably going to be really fun, too.
Thank you, Pete.
Always a pleasure, guys. Make sure you circle back around again for the next one.
All right, till next time. Peace.